Hey guys, welcome back to the Chisme. This is episode 5, and we are going to be talking about Charles Manson and his copycats after he was locked up. I'm Destiny Granadillo, and I'm here with
Christine Arza. Hello, everybody.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how Manson got locked up and some copycats followed right behind him. So, as we stated in episode 4, Manson was locked up and he was actually arrested not on his crimes, but the vandalism on his portion of Death Valley. That's why they arrested him. But then we talked about it again. Susan Atkins came forward and said everything that they've done, and then they gave Charles the sentences he needs. So he was given a death sentence, commuted to life with a possibility of parole after the California Supreme Court invalidated the state's death penalty statute in 1972. So he was given a life sentence without parole until that was invalidated and they took that statute out. So then he was given life sentence with parole, but he did later die in prison at the age 83 in 2017. So very long. But we already discussed this in episode 4. So now we're going to go on to the copycats.
On August 6th, 1969, Robert Beausoleil was a heavily involved member in the Manson family. He was sleeping in the back of a Volkswagen on the side of the road when a police officer approached the car and inspected it. When the officer ran the vehicle registration, he discovered that the vehicle was stolen, and he wanted the Los Angeles police and he was wanted by the Los Angeles police for fingerprinting, as it belonged to a man that was murdered in the Los Angeles area. Robert was immediately taken into custody.
Okay, so he was jailed for his possible involvement in the murder of the vehicle's owner, Gary Hinman. So we talked about it again in episode 4 that Gary Hinman was part of the people that helped these investigators find Charles Manson because of the fingerprints and all this. So when he got the word back to when the word got back to Charlie that Beausoleil was apprehended, it is believed that a set of copycat crimes would be done. So after Hinman's murder, it involved the bloody words written on the walls that these new crimes would mimic. So other people were committing these crimes and thinking it took so long for Charles to get caught,
so nothing will happen to me
if I mimic his murders. Yeah. So then there was other murders that were linked to the Hinman murder, and they were not done by the Manson family. They were done by copycats. And so far, they haven't been released who these copycats were, but they did take Beausoleil into custody. And the theory has been, this theory has been corroborated by several Manson family members over the years. So they thought that it was connected to the Manson family because it was the same exact crimes.
But it wasn't.
Yeah, it was different copycats, which again have not been released. But a series of family members have made similar statements suggesting that the murders had been committed to get Bobby freed from jail. So Bobby is Robert Beausoleil. That's what they called him, aka Bobby. So these copycats were like, oh, if we do this, then they would think that Robert wasn't the actual murderer to these crimes. So they were saying that so that people believed, this is not what actually happened, people believed that these copycat murderers were trying to help Bobby and Charles get out of jail. So they were committing murders while they were locked up so that police would think, how are these murders still going on if they're locked up? So then they would let them go. But eventually that never happened, obviously, they died. So some copycat things that we can say that were sort of like Charles Manson was Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy? I've never spoken to anybody about this.
30 years after he was executed, notorious serial killer Ted Bundy is having his story retold in documentaries and crime series this year.
Ted Bundy, people considered him more of a more serious crime maker, murderer, whatever, and they even made a documentary on him, which is on Netflix, which has Zac Efron.
Yep.
And Zac Efron plays Ted Bundy, but many people made documentaries on Charles Manson, but they never blew up, like Destiny said.
Yeah. So Charles Manson does have a lot of documentaries on him. There's a lot of news reports on him, a lot of documentaries that people made, but they didn't get as big as Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy really did blow up, and that's kind of the copycat situation that we had with Charles.
So this is the end of the Charles Manson podcast. Thank you for listening. We'll be back, maybe, hopefully, with future episodes.